We are in Parashat Lech Lecha, and where we get acquainted with Avraham Avinu, where he is commanded to leave his land, his city, his place of birth. And we learn throughout the week, and we're still not done, but in the Zohar classes, how this is representing the journey of the soul from the world above. Yesterday we learned in the Zohar that Me'artzecha, it's referring to the Sphira of Malchut, where the soul is dwelling there for 12 months till it comes down to the world. Mimoladetcha refers to the Yesod. This is where the soul is rooted from, coming down to the Malchut. Bet Avicha is where the soul is rooted from. And we explained that in the Sphira of Yesod there is a division to 12 parts, which of course corresponds to the 12 tribes, and this is where the souls are, so to say, rooted from. And the soul comes down to this world, goes through a very long journey to get to this world, and then in this world we go through a very long journey. Even though for the soul this is not a long journey, for the soul is just one stop. But for us, 60, 70, 80 years, every day and another day and another day, that's a pretty long journey. So we just need to know and to understand what's going on in this journey. So we're going to learn a little bit today from the teachings of the Ben Ish Chai. And he starts by giving a story, telling a story about a certain individual that was a God-fearing individual, a Jew, and at some point he got arrested, and there was some type of a conspiracy against him. He got arrested and thrown into a jail to wait for trial. And for whatever reason, the governor or the head of the jail decided he's going to be in confined solitary. He's not going to be with other people, which, needless to say, made the whole stay very, very difficult, especially that he was innocent and he didn't do anything. But nevertheless, being a Jew, what do you do when you're just sitting in a room and do nothing? So he was learning Torah. And happened to be that because of the conditions, he started receiving all these amazing godly revelations in the mystical parts of the Torah. And he was shocking himself. He was shocked about the revelations that he's receiving from this, all these insights. And on the 30th day of his time in jail, they bring him in front of the judge, and the judge says, "We're very sorry to bother you, and you are free to go. We found out that you didn't do anything, and everything is okay, and you can go." Okay. He comes home on the 31st day and he's still shocked. What was this all about? I get arrested for not something I didn't do, and then I'm being held in jail in very bad conditions, and then I learn Torah and I get all these godly revelations, and nevertheless he didn't know how to digest this. What is this? Where is it coming from? So he was questioning, asking Hashem, maybe you can give me a hint. What do I need to learn from this? Then he goes to sleep, and when he falls asleep, he wakes up in a dream where he finds himself in a desert. And he's walking in the desert, and he's walking towards an image that looks like a man, but he understands it's something from, not like a man, maybe an angel in the form of a man. And he understands this is a messenger from Hashem, and he approaches him and he tells him, "Can you explain to me what was this last 30 days? Why did Hashem throw me in jail? Why did I was thrown in jail? And it was very hard conditions. I was by myself, but nevertheless, I got these amazing godly revelations." So this man in the dream tells him, "Turn around, turn your head around." And he turns his head around and he sees a lot of kids, but they're all divided into 3 groups. And every group has in it a lot of children. And he tells the man, who are all these children? So the man tells him, these are all your children. And you were in jail for 30 days to release these souls that got incarnated in inanimates, in stones, and whatever it is. I mean, we do know, based on the Zohar and the teachings of the Arizal, that souls get reincarnated not only in bodies, they can get reincarnated in animals and in vegetation, and also in things that are inanimate. And it can be done as a punishment to the soul. It can also be done in a certain way that the Arizal explains that the way the souls work it's like a branch, a trunk and branches. Yesterday we learned in the Zohar that the way it works in the spiritual world, there are two sfirot called Chokhmah and Binah, and the term in Kabbalah is to call it Abba ve'Ima, a mother and a father. When these two sfirot get united, exactly like a man and a woman when they get physically united, then they birth a child. So in the spiritual world, they birth a midah. And from Chokhmah and Binah, it will manifest into a group of sfirot that is called Zeir Anpin. Zeir Anpin is a small face. And we know in the world of Atzilut, there's different faces. This is a term in Kabbalah called Partzufim. One of them is the Partzuf, the face that is called Zeir Anpin, a small face. And inside this group, there's 6 midot. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. And the souls that are birthed as a result from the unity of Chokhmah and Binah, they are included in the Zeir Anpin. And each soul is rooted from a different sphira. You know, you mentioned now before about the name. When it comes to a name, we learned that several times, and we're going to continue learning, that the name is the business card of my soul. And it's kind of saying everything about the soul. It's the DNA of the soul. That's why we see that the word soul in Hebrew is neshama. If you move away the external part, the nun and the hey, you're left with the letters shin and mem, which will form the word shem. So my name tells everything about my soul. Now there are many different ways of doing an analysis of the name. One of them that we know of is what I wanted to say Tzipi, but now we might have to say Fega, is going based on the elements. Every letter in the Jewish alphabet is rooted from one of the 4 elements: earth, fire, water, and air. And you can, and we started learning that before I left on the last trip, and we're going to continue learning how every letter is rooted from one of the elements, and I can go and make an analysis in the letters of my name and learn a lot just from the side of the elements. And then of course it depends if there's a very big difference of the first letter of the name, the second letter of the name, the last letter of the name, the middle letters if I have more than 3 letters. But the analysis here goes based on the elements. But there are other ways of doing the analysis of the name, and one of them is by retracting the letters to the sfirot. And then I can see the letters in my name from which sphira they come from. And based on that, I can backtrack and kind of get an analysis from which sphira my soul is originating from. And it doesn't mean one is better than the other. It just means that I know from which sphira I'm rooted from. It's easier for me to understand my personality, my characteristics, my path, my mission, my tikkun, my rectification, and so forth. Now, with that said, they all go down, even though it seems by the diagram of the sfirot, it looks like one is underneath the other, but nevertheless, they're all separated. They're not necessarily one underneath the other. Many people imagine in their mind that from chesed it goes to gvura and tiferet and netzach. Yes, it does go in a manifesting way, but nevertheless, they're all also separated from each other. They're all funneled down to one sphira. The sphira is called Yesod. Yesod is the foundation, and from that it will be transferred into the sphira that is called Malchut. In the Yesod is divided in many different divisions, One of them is, like I said before, for 12 divisions. That's where the root of the 12 tribes come from. But not only that, we mentioned yesterday, I think the day before in the class of the Zohar, that the division of 12, they are also divided into 4 groups, exactly how they used to be divided in the tribes when they surrounded the ark going in the desert. 4 camps, of each camp had 3 tribes in it. So this is all, the reason that we do it in this world is because it's originated in the world above. And we also learned that in that place, in the Sphira of Yesod, is where the 600,000 souls are rooted from. So we know we have 600,000 souls to the nation of the Jews, but then of course comes a big question, but we see millions of souls here. How are you saying there's a 600,000? So the Arizal explains that the Adam Arishon is the main soul, and he will be considered in our analogy, the trunk. You have a tree, so there's a trunk. Now from the trunk it starts growing branches, and these are the big branches. From the big branches will come smaller branches, and smaller branches, and smaller branches, like in every tree. Adam Arishon is the trunk. And this is just an analogy. This is not just to explain the idea. And from the Adam Arishon comes out the main branches. And these are huge souls like Shet and Noach and Nadav, mainly Avraham Avinu and so forth, and many other big souls. We do know, based on the teachings of Kabbalah, that the Adam Arishon is in the shape of a man, and the soul of Avraham Avinu, for example, is Adam's right hand. So this is a huge soul. Imagine Avraham Avinu is one soul, is the whole hand, and since Avraham Avinu is the right hand, now we know that all the souls that are rooted from Avraham Avinu will come from the side of chesed, of kindness. But nevertheless, these are the main big branches, but from the big branches it will break into more branches till we'll get to an amount of 600,000 souls. From these 600,000 souls, each one of these 600,000 will start branching out and branching out and branching out. That's how we get to thousands and thousands, and more, to be precise, more millions of souls instead of thousands of souls. But they're all rooted into 600,000 souls. Now, could very much be, just for the sake of the example, that all of us in this room are from the same branch. If you go backwards 3-4 generations, there's a very good chance that we're all from the same branch. And if you go 10 generations back, many people in your life are from the same branch. But in my life, there's a very good chance that a lot of people around me are from the same branch. That's why when people are looking to find their other half, then people will bless them by saying you should find your other half from Shoresh Nishmato, from the root of the same soul, that you're in the same branch. There's a reason for that. Usually, people in our life, specifically spouses, kids, and parents, and so forth, will be all from the same branch. And now if you go back 20, 30 generations, there's a very good chance that a very large amount of people are all rooted from the same branch. Because we're going every generation, we're multiplying, and we're multiplying, and we're multiplying. So with that analogy, we can understand that if I go back, I have many branches above me that I'm connected to. So I can meet now an individual, and if I would have a way to backtrack 10 generations back, we will maybe find, hey, we're coming from the same branch. Usually how it will work, that people in your life are from the same branch. That's usually the case. Every now and then you'll see somebody that is not, and you see it many times in families that one child is like as if he's not connected to the family. And you're like, where did this child come from? Doesn't look like us, doesn't behave like us, goes to a different path. But nevertheless, this becomes much more sophisticated and definitely not now the time to explain it more in depth. But we do learn a lot about it in the course of the Gates of Reincarnation, how the Arizal is explaining that structure. And the reason why I'm saying all this explanation is to understand that sometimes souls will get incarnated because of their own actions. But sometimes souls will get incarnated because somebody else's actions. Now, for example, everybody's well aware of the danger of different sins that we do that can get the soul chopped off from its source. This is called karet. A person will do a severe sin. There are 36 sins of karet. Excuse me. 2 of them are positive. circumcision and the Korban Pesach, the sacrifice of Pesach, and 34 are negative. The ones that are more relating to us is desecrating Shabbat, desecrating the festivals, eating on Yom Kippur, eating Chametz on Pesach, all the forbidden relations, and so forth. These are what's more related to us. Included in that is also things like doing seance and all sorts of witchcraft. And the ones that are not so connected to us, at least at this point, is eating from holy sacrifices, from Kodshim in Bet HaMikdash. But nevertheless, these are 34 negative sins that if Chas v'Shalom a person does them, the result is that the soul gets chopped off from its connection. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of the famous caricature that somebody's sitting on a branch and he's cutting the part that is close to the tree. And then, of course, once you finish cutting it, then you fall down, unless cutting it from this side. So this is the idea of karet, that I cut myself off the branch with my action. Now what happens is, if after me there's more branches, then I cut the branches after me. So now if a person does a sin of karet and he has children or grandchildren, everybody gets affected, because I released myself from the tree. So everybody after me gets cut off. And this can happen in many different situations. Going back to the story that we said, we're still in the dream. We didn't finish the dream yet. If you remember, we kind of sidetracked. But nevertheless, the man in the dream tells, we'll call him now the angel in the dream, in the form of a man, tells the other man, when he looks back and he sees a lot of the children divided in 3 groups, he tells them, these are all your children. These are all the souls that are connected to you, that got reincarnated in inanimates in that room where you were sitting, and by you sitting there, suffering, but still observing the Torah and learning Torah, you were able to release these souls from their incarnation in an inanimate. Therefore, you release them, now they are going to be your kids, your children for eternity. You are their redeemer. Why 3 groups? So he says the souls are divided into 3 groups. Part of them, one group is connected to your nefesh, one group is connected to your ruach, and one group is connected to your neshama. Each one took 10 days to release from where they were trapped. So therefore you set exactly 30 days. 10 days for the group of the souls that were trapped in the level of nefesh, ruach and neshama makes it 30 days. That's why you have 3 groups of 3 kids, and these are going to be your kids that you're going to enjoy for eternity in Olam Haba. I'm sure you're aware that one of the greatest joys for an individual is to have a little kid and to play with the kid and to see the kid grow. There's a certain type of joy of, I don't know if to say growing kids, how would you say it in English? To raising kids. Thank you. So the angel in the dream tells him, these are going to be your kids. And he says, and that's why you, from Shamayim, you were placed in confined solitary, that nobody will bother you. That you will be busy with your learning of your Torah and releasing these souls. And okay, so it came with hardship, it came with Yisurim. But nevertheless, this is the reason why you were in jail. And Hashem did a favor to you. And now you understand what happened. So the man tells him in the dream, what should I do now? So he says, now go and write everything, all these chidushim, all these new revelations that you got, write them down. He woke up in the morning, of course, and then he started writing it down, and this can be found in a book that is called Matir Asurim. Matir Asurim is releasing a prisoner. That's the translation. So what do we find from this story? Sorry. That the journey of a man from one place to another, I'm sure you all have your fair share, that you've been moving from one town to another town, from this city to that city, from this job to that job. Very few people born in a certain city and they live there throughout their life and they die there. Most people, thank you. Most people, again, it's not a rule, but from looking around, most people, they go through different journeys. And then you try this year, you lack over here, and you lack over there, and so forth. So we find that all these journeys are just for the benefit of the man himself, man, the woman. Why? Because everywhere I go, I am taking out part of the sparks that belong to me wherever I go. I'm releasing these sparks, these souls that they got trapped in different places. Can be in bodies, can be in animals, can be in vegetation, and can be inanimate. And everywhere that I go, there's a tikkun there. If I have to be in this city for 2 years, this city for 1 year, this job for half a year, everywhere I go, I'm taking with me sparks. I'm elevating sparks with me. And needless to say, when we're going to the hero of our story, Avraham Avinu, needless to say that he was, we call him Avinu, the father. So needless to say, how many kids, how many souls he was elevating everywhere that he went to. Look how many journeys he went to. We also see it to us as a nation, that how many journeys we went to. We were in Eastern Europe, in Western Europe, in North America, in Russia, and look how our journey, our life as a nation, how we're going from one place to another. Why? Because everywhere we go, it's part of the journeys where I elevate these godly sparks, whether it's coming in a form of a nefesh, a ruach, a neshama, a godly spark, and so forth. And what I would do is I would gather the sparks that connected to my root of my soul. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's mine, but it's connected to the root of my soul. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I did the action, the good action or the sin, but nevertheless I am rooted in some branch. So every task, spiritual task that I do, it benefits all the branches all the way up. And it's not necessarily that because of me I did a sin, now another soul is suffering, but nevertheless my actions will help another soul that is rooted in my branch. Therefore, as a side note, we can understand that everything that happens to me, don't look at it as a punishment, and don't look at it as something negative. Rather, if I'm already here, okay, what does Hashem want me to do here? Hashem wants me to do something here. How many times you go to the bank, you're stuck there for half an hour, you go to whatever it is, Kupat Cholim, you're sitting at the doctor waiting for 25 minutes, and you're saying, what a waste of time, I could have done so many things. But you're already there, pull out a book of Tehillim, start reading Tehillim. You're already stuck somewhere for 2 hours. You know how many times I got stuck in airports on layovers and missing flights, and I don't get upset because, okay, I know, okay, Hashem wants me here for 3 hours. Last trip, we as usual, I missed one of my flights. This is a normal thing when I travel. And this was mamash. We saw, my daughter and me were laughing because from the morning till we missed the flight, everything that can go wrong went wrong to delay us. It was just unbelievable how everything was stopping us. And I was already telling my daughter after we dropped off the car in the airport, told her we're not going on this flight. She's like, no, we can't. Told her we're not going on this flight. We were sitting on the AirTran in the JFK, and it was just just standing there for 20 minutes, no moving. And everything, even when we came to the elevator, I'm running into the elevator, and as I'm running to the elevator, the door closes, but very, very slow. Not like, some of the elevators close. It closes, and I'm like, great. And everything that can go wrong, we go through the CAT scan. So of course the suitcases, they come out, and the suitcases that go to a check, they have like a different path. But of course our suitcase goes to the luggage. And I travel so much, usually they tell you to take out your laptop. They never tell you to take out an iPad. This time the suitcase went out. Why? The iPad. Okay, so we took the iPad. No, the suitcase has to go out again. And again it went into to be checked. And we were delayed there for so long. And in my mind I'm laughing. I'm like, okay, we're missing this flight. And we literally ran, and I see the people still boarding in the gate. And by the time we got there, as we're getting there, the doors closed. I'm like, whoa. I said, no, doors are closed. And sure enough, we missed the flight. And of course, started phone calls. And this was Friday afternoon. We have to fly to a Shabbaton in Phoenix. And I'm already calling them. We might not be coming, calling in where we are in New York. I might have to stay for Shabbat. And of course, last minute, everything works well. And we were there for about 4 hours. When I came to the desk and I told her we were on standby, she was like, there's no chance you're getting on the next flight. The flight is packed. And I was like, okay, we'll try our luck. What can we do? And sure enough, after they almost completely board, passenger Anava, and we go in, last 2 seats. I mean, my daughter and me were separated in the seats, but nevertheless, and I was like, look how Look how Hashem works, and what good would it be if I would start worrying and even worse, freaking out, getting upset. It was early in the morning, so I prayed in the terminal, and we learned Torah and everything, and I was like, sometimes Hashem wants you in a certain place so you can pray, so you can eat and say Birkat Hamazon, so you can read some Tehillim. So we look at things as mistakes and delays, and why am I wasting my time? Hashem is telling you, in other words, I need you to be here right now for 1 hour. But don't check your messages on Facebook or whatever. Read Tehillim, learn Torah. Do something, because that's how you're releasing the godly sparks that are connected to your root. He explains here that there is a drasha, an explanation by our sages, that everywhere in the Torah that it says the word lecha, it means, which means to you, it means for your benefit. So here we see Lech Lecha. That's why we have twice the words Lech Lecha. Should have said just Lech. Why are you saying twice Lech Lecha? Yesterday we explained in the Zohar that when the neshama comes down to the world below, while it's in the sphera of Malchut, before it's ready to come down to the world, it takes an oath. And Hashem swears the neshama, you have to follow the Torah, you have to do mitzvot. And the soul says, I swear, I will do it. Then the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives the soul 100 keys, and each key is one blessing, and the blessings are the 100 blessings that we have to say every day, and every key, every blessing opens one channel, one source of abundance. And then of course the soul comes down to the world. So the Zohar explains the reason why it says Lech Lecha, because we have to say 100 blessings every day, this opening 100 gates, 100 channels in the world above, and the numerical value of the two words Lech Lecha is 100. Lamed is 30, Chaf is 20, Lamed is 30, Chaf is 20, you get 100. This is the 100 blessings that we have to say every day. But nevertheless, our sages say that every time you find in the Torah the word Lecha, means it's for your benefit. And we find it in many places. If you remember when Moshe Rabbeinu sent the spies, he says, Shlach lecha anashim. It's for your benefit. And we find also in the book of Shmot, Kach lecha samim, when Moshe Rabbeinu was doing the incense. And when Moshe Rabbeinu was doing the trumpets, Kach lecha aseh lecha shtei chatzutzot. We constantly find many verses in the Torah that it says the word lecha. So we know it means for your benefit, that you will benefit from it. Which means that when Hashem is sending me into this world to do something, usually when a part of my journey will be negative, it's only for my benefit. It's completely just for my benefit. And I have to understand that I have to instead of complaining and focusing on the negative part, seeing what can be done positive out of it. And the reason why it says in the parasha, Lech Lecha me'artzecha, mimoladetcha, mibet avicha, ma'artzecha refers to the nefesh, moladetcha refers to the ruach, and mibet avicha refers to the neshama. Yesterday, if you're in the class, I explained how me'artzecha, mimoladetcha, mibet avicha is also referring to the three stations where the soul is before it comes down to the world. And then it continues and says that I will take you to the land where I will show you where to go. This is of course referring to this world. So we see in general when we sing the words Lech Lecha, that is the what I possess in this world, what I acquire in this world. But our sages teach us that in this world you don't own anything. Even if you do own property, a car, whatever it is, you don't own nothing in this world. Because at the end of the day, you're leaving everything behind. The only time that you own something is only in the Olam Haba. And you can only own Torah and mitzvot. You can't own anything else in the universe. So people that they think that they own something in this world, then they have a mistake. How many times you read about this individual, oh, he's worth so and so. No, he's not. Because once he leaves this world, he's not worth any of it. Everything stays behind. So we do know of a famous Mishnah that a lot of people like throwing it in the air. And needless to say that most fail to read the end of the Mishnah, but there is a Mishnah, it's found in the Tractate Sanhedrin, chapter 10, and it says, Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek l'olam haba. All of the Jews have a place in the world to come. Just people fail to read the end of the verse. It says, besides, but it's very easy to flag, but nevertheless, this is where Hashem says, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I will give each and every one of you a certain portion in the world to come. But you have to come down to this world to earn it. The fact that I gave it to you doesn't mean you're actually getting it. You have to come down to this world, you have to follow the Torah, you have to learn Torah, you have to do mitzvot, and then you will receive your part in the world to come. But we do know that a person can lose their part in the world to come, and lose their part, even though we do know that if a person did a mitzvah, you can't lose this mitzvah. You cannot lose it. Although, we're not going to get into that sugya because it's long. We learned about it in the Zohar a few weeks ago, that a person can do a lot of mitzvot and technically cannot lose them. But if then he goes on the wrong path and he does only wicked things and sins, then these mitzvot are being taken away from him and given to somebody that wanted to do mitzvot and couldn't do them. So you lose your mitzvot. There are many people, how many times did you walk in the street and somebody pulled their hand out and said, do you have anything to give me? And you put your hand in the pocket, oh my gosh, I don't have anything. You wanted to do a mitzvah and you couldn't. So you lost that mitzvah technically. But that mitzvah can be given to you when there's a desire, when there's a strong desire to do something good and you can't. Our sages say, "Machshava tova Kadosh Baruch Hu metzarfa lemaaseh." You had the right intention, then Hashem will add to it like as if you did it. How? By taking it from a wicked person that did the mitzvah and it will be given to you. But nevertheless, we do know that the policy, the insurance policy of not losing my place in the world to come is by doing Teshuvah. Hashem says, okay, whatever you did, fine. Do Teshuvah, you'll reverse it all. And when you do Teshuvah, you have no problem. You will get everything that you gained. So we do know that a person that sins, there's always hope. The Kadosh Baruch Hu says, as long as you are alive, there's hope for you to change. And you can do Teshuvah, and I will give you all the opportunities to do Teshuvah. Hashem is not mean. Hashem is not saying, okay, I don't like you, I'm not going to let you do Teshuvah. You have to be so wicked that Hashem will close the doors of Teshuvah, then the same, I don't want to give you the option. But even so, our sages say, if a person wants to do Teshuvah, person wants to do Teshuvah, they will assist him. But if a person wants to be very impure, if a person wants to be impure, they will help him be impure. The thing is that in order for me to do Teshuvah, I have to have a help from above. That's why it says that I need a sayata dishmaya. If not, I'm not going to be able to do anything. That's why the sages say, if a person wants to be pure, then they will assist him. Because if you don't get assistance, this is almost impossible. That's why we know a lot of people, what they say, I'll sin today, because I want to do the sin. Tomorrow I'll do Teshuvah, when it's easier. So the Talmud says, anyone who says, I will sin today, but tomorrow I'll do Teshuvah, they don't assist him to do Teshuvah. They say, you want to do Teshuvah? Go ahead. We're not going to get any assistance here, which is almost impossible. But nevertheless, Hashem says, I will always give you the option to do Teshuvah. But, and if you don't do Teshuvah, you know how they call it, the good way? So you'll do it the highway. How they say it in the movies, my way or the highway. So if you do it the right way, good. If not, then it will come through Yisurim, will come through hardship. But nevertheless, we do find different psukim where it says that if a person that will do Teshuvah, he will be able to gain back everything that he lost. Now, the reason why we have the advantage of doing Teshuvah, because our sages explain that there are three reasons why I can argue, so to say, and get benefit to do Teshuvah, and Hashem will agree to that. The first one is because I was created from earth. And since I was created from earth, then my material, my body is rough, it's gus, it's materialistic. So by default, I have an inclination to go to something that is more natural than spiritual. So I can come and claim to Hashem, listen, you created me from afar, from earth. You didn't create me from air. You would create me from air, I will be more wanting to get close to spiritual things. But you created me from earth, so I get pulled into physical things. The second thing is that I was created from a drop. You know, our sages call it tipa srucha, a stinky drop, something, a little drop. Now, this is from the sperm of the father. Since the sperm comes from something physical and comes from something that is considered hot, then by default, I will be having this character trait. I wasn't created like Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon was created by Hashem. He didn't have this desire. We are created from a physical act, from a drop, so I will by default have this in my nature. So why are you holding it against me? Of course I will be pulled to something like that. And the third is that whether I like it or not, we just read it 2 weeks ago, that when Adam and Chava sinned, they sinned because of the snake, so they got affected by the dirt, the filth of the snake. This is called Zohamat HaNachash, the impurity of the snake. So we all have that. This is called Tumat Met. And some will call it Tumat Met, impurity of death. Some will call it Zohamat HaNachash, the filth, the impurity of the snake. Now, a person is born, within moments that the baby comes out to the world, the doctor touches the baby, that's it. It gives him already this impurity. So we're already attached. We have this attachment to us of this impurity of the snake. So what do you want from me? It's almost like you take a child and you grow them in a very, very bad neighborhood. Whatever, how they call it in America, a ghetto, or I don't know, whatever, the slum, or whatever it is. What do you expect from the child to grow up? To be a doctor? He's from day one, he has to fight for his life. And he's around disgusting people and low lives. And what do you think the child will grow up to be? So same thing here. We have 3 arguments with Hashem. Not arguments, but to say, you have to help me with the Teshuvah. What do you want from me? You put me in this disgusting world. So these 3 levels of Teshuvah that I just mentioned, this is why it says in this Parashat Lech Lecha, leave from the place of your comfort. From where? From your land, from your land, from the place of birth, and from your father's home. These correspond to these 3 places. And the Teshuvah that I do also corresponds to Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. I affect all 3 levels of my soul. So the fact that I was that I'm made out of earth, this corresponds to the Nefesh. The fact that I come from a drop, this will correspond for the Ruach. And the fact that I'm affected by the impurity of the snake, this corresponds to the Neshama. So we conclude from that that the journey that Avraham Avinu goes from, if you read it, not only this Parashat Lech Lecha, next week's Parashat also, Vayera, as much as Avraham and Sarah were righteous people, look at these 2 parashot. It's just hardship, just problems, just challenges, just chess. Move here, move there, move here, move there, go here, go there, go here, go there. And look what they had to go through. Went to Mitzrayim, Sarah gets abducted, Avraham Avinu gets arrested, and look at what they're going through. This is a tzaddik and a tzaddiket, so much more so us. But nevertheless, what we need to learn from this parasha is that we are a rerun. We come from the world above, and we leave our place of comfort, and we go into this world, into a world of journeys. But since the commandment is Lech Lecha, then based on what our sages are teaching, it's for my benefit. So yeah, it will come through hardship, it will come through a lot of problems, and it will come with many journeys, but it's only for my benefit. It's part of my process of Teshuvah, it's part of my process of releasing all these sparks that are trapped in the Klippa, that are not necessarily because something I did, but nevertheless, it's part of my root, part of my trunk, so to say, my branch. So everywhere that I go, every path that you go, you have to understand that Hashem puts you there for a certain reason. It's a divine providence. The practical part to take from that is, instead of looking at the negative part of everything that happens throughout my day or week or my journey, is to say, this is where Hashem wants me right now. Who said and where does it say that life has to be about licking honey all day long? You benefit You get your rewards in Olam Haba. This is not a place that you reap your hard work. And if you do get some good things in your life, good. But life is not necessarily about having good things. You see that the end of the life of Avraham Avinu, everything went well. They had a son, then they have grandkids, and Avraham Avinu, they saw grandkids, and everything ended up well. They had money, a lot of wealth, and so forth. So the point to take from that, we like being practical in what we learn, is that I'm on a journey, and each and every one of us is on a journey. And the journey doesn't say anywhere that it has to be a good path or easy. Lefech. But Lefech means on the contrary. It doesn't promise that. But I have to understand that today I'm here, and if Hashem made me come here for whatever reason, then I have to be here. And let me do the best out of it. I remember, for example, when I lived in New York. In New York, it's almost pointless to own a car, because the upkeeping of the car is nothing compared to the amount of tickets you pay. It doesn't matter who you are, where you park. In New York, all day long you get tickets. And to find parking in New York, it was almost pointless to have a car. But nevertheless, you need a car. So I remember there was one period that I had a car, and I would constantly get tickets. Doesn't matter what you do. You double park because they're cleaning the street cleaning the meters. There's all the time you get tickets. So every 2-3 months, I would find myself in the office where you go and you can argue about the tickets. It's like a mini courtroom. And you come and you plea your case or whatever. And the reason why I would do it, because usually when you sit in front of a judge, you can come with a deal, so they knock out half of your tickets or whatever it is. I knew all the tricks how to get the tickets dismissed. So in the olden days, not like at the time of Avraham Avinu, but in the late 90s and the beginning of the 2000s, the tickets would be handwritten. So there was a lot of mistakes. And as soon as you would find the mistake on a ticket, the ticket is dismissed. Now they punch it in some machine and it prints out. So, but in those days, if there was one mistake on the ticket, that's it, the ticket is dismissed. So I would find myself in that office every couple of months to get canceled all these tickets. And every time I would sit and I would be like, Hashem wants me here right now. And usually I would be the only Jew there, or maybe it would be another Jew. And I would just sit there, I would bring my books, because you would sit there for 3-4 hours. It's not that you just walk in and out. And I would understand, because I would have to take off time of yeshiva. So, or many other things that I need to do. But I knew today Hashem wants me here, clearing up the air here. So I need to sit and learn Torah here, not to do how do you call those quizzes that you have in the newspaper. I don't know how they're called even, that you have questions and you write down and crosswords. So, and many times I find myself in a certain situation, and right away the first thought is like, what, Hashem wants me to be here? Okay, what do I need to do here? Maybe there's a Jew here that I need to find and start talking to. Maybe I just need to be a Jew, that other people can see me. Maybe I just need to learn Torah here. I don't know what's going on here. So going back to the first story that we started, the person didn't understand why he had to be in jail for 30 days, because there were souls trapped in the walls, in the inanimates, in the stones, in the floor, whatever it is. And by him being there and learning Torah, it released them. So when you have that thought that everywhere that you are on a mission, Hashem is sending you somewhere. Waiting on the bus, waiting to the doctor, waiting in the bank, or just by living your life. And you know, sometimes in life, you go through a hard period. You move from one city to the other till you find a job, till you find a place to stay, and here you're sleeping here 3 nights, then you're crashing here in a friend's house for 2 nights, and everybody goes through that. You're not the only one. Everybody goes through all this inconvenience. You know, before we came to Israel, Baruch Hashem, it took us a while till we got our family to move. It's not easy making Aliyah with 6 kids, but nevertheless, right before we made the Aliyah, we had such a hard year and a half. We moved 13 times in that year and a half with 6 kids, from this house to another house, and moving schools all the time. It was a very difficult year. But finally we got to Eretz Israel. And the Talmud says that there are 3 things that you acquire it with hardship. And one of them is Eretz Israel. Eretz Israel niknet beisurim. You don't just hop on a plane and you just walk in here. In Eretz Israel, you go through suffering to come here. But nevertheless, it was a very difficult year and a half. But Baruch Hashem, with the right attitude, we understood, my wife and me and my kids, hey, this is the journey to Eretz Israel. You don't just get a free first-class ticket. But we understood, we got stuck in Los Angeles for almost a year. Stuck. It was a good stuck. But nevertheless, we went there. We were literally kicked out of where we were in New York. And we were in the middle of the winter, nowhere to go. Family, then we only had 5 kids. My wife was pregnant, but 5 kids and a pregnant woman in the middle of the winter in New York, nowhere to go, nowhere to put our stuff. Long story short, somehow things worked out. Hashem always knows how to find solutions for everything. And we end up in Los Angeles. We're supposed to be there for 5 weeks. Somebody brought me there so I can give lectures. 3 organizations, they teamed up together. They brought us out there. They found us a place to stay, gave us a car. 5 weeks, every day I had lectures and Shabbatonim and events, and it was great. Then the 5 weeks were over and they were like, okay, goodbye. My wife didn't get her papers for the Aliyah, so we couldn't do anything. So we waited a week and another week and another week, and we're stuck. And finally, till she got the message that the papers will be delayed, she was already way too pregnant with our 6th child and she couldn't fly. And we're like, okay, we have to stay. We're staying in Los Angeles. This is the only option. And it wasn't convenient. Have to find a place to stay. Now put the kids in schools in the middle of the year. And where would you stay? Who would rent? Nobody wanted to rent us a house on a month-to-month basis with 6 kids. We didn't have any furniture or anything. We were just with suitcases, so we had to find a furnished house. The bottom line that we were like, the attitude was like, okay, Hashem wants us in Los Angeles. Well, I'm going to argue with Hashem right now. I'm going to argue with what's happening. So wherever you are, you do what you need to do. We went and bought a car, put the kids in school, found a house. And when the attitude is positive, then Hashem tells you, this is where you need to be right now. I will help you. And when you open your eyes and when you let Hashem guide you, you see that Hashem takes you to different places. And yeah, it's not easy. Nobody says life is easy. But if the attitude is positive, but more than that, you understand that this is your journey. You can't skip stations. You have to go from one station to the other. And this journey will be hard. But if you switch it's not about the attitude, that you understand that you're where Hashem wants you to be, then it becomes already much easier. Because Hashem already lifts you up. If you're whining and crying and complaining and why Hashem is doing it to me, I'm such a good person and I did 3 mitzvot yesterday and it's not fair, and then that's not going to take you anywhere. But rather when you're saying, Hashem, today I'm here, what do you want me to do today? What's the job today? So nobody says we have to be comfortable in this world. This world is a journey. I only came here with a suitcase. I don't have anything that is permanent in this world. If something becomes too good and too permanent, it's also not so good. Life is all about changing constantly. This is the Lech Lecha. This is the famous journey that I'm here with a suitcase. And my suitcase is only my Torah and my mitzvot. And whenever I am, I have to do the best that I can. Every situation, the attitude has to be that Hashem, what do I need to do here? And if I need to be next to an annoying neighbor now for 3 months, okay, so that's what I need to do, to work on my patience, to work on my controlling my anger, to work on my forbearance. And in a few months that will pass. So we got to learn from our Father. After all, He's called our Father. Many sages are called in different titles. Moshe, we call him Rabbeinu, our teacher. And Yosef, we call him Hatzadik, he's the righteous. And Aaron HaKohen, Shmuel HaNavi. So Avram is called Avinu, he's our father. So our sages say a beautiful verse, and they say, Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. The action of the fathers is a sign for the children. So we have to look constantly at Avraham Avinu and say, this is the role model. And you know what? He gave us certain power. From every righteous leader that we had, we inherited a certain character, and specifically from the forefathers, because they are the fathers. So Avraham Avinu, not only that he's a man of charity, a man of kindness, ish chesed, but everything that he went through, he gave us that power. So look what he had to go through. He got kicked out from here, kicked out from there. What do you think? He wasn't in jail. Avraham Avinu was also thrown in jail a couple times, and lost his fortune and gained his fortune. And so he gave us the power to survive the journeys. And not only to survive the journeys, to do the best and what Hashem wants us to do wherever you are. Wherever he was, he advertised Elokut. He spread the name of Hashem everywhere. So we have to understand that we have a mini journey of Avraham Avinu. We go through marital problems, we go through financial problems, we go through exile, but nevertheless, we have the power. We just need to have the understanding and the attitude that Hashem tells me, I am giving it, this situation, it's only for you. It's almost like giving a child a bitter medicine, and the child doesn't want to take it, it's bitter, but you're telling him, but it's good for you. So Hashem says, Lech Lecha. Lecha means this journey is only for your benefit. You're going to try to get away from this journey, you're going to lose out. So at the end of the day, we're going to see the result of our hard work. We're going to see why I had to be here 3 months, why I had to suffer this relationship for 1 year, why I had to lose this amount of money. At the end, I will see why I had to go through these stations. If while I'm at the station, I'm seeing the negative part of it, then I'm not going to derive anything out of it. If I swallow the bitterness and say, okay, that's the situation right now, but what can I do? What does Hashem want me to do here? You extract the godly spark out of it, and you get to see the benefit, and then it becomes your benefit. Lech Lecha. Then it's for your benefit. So we want to use the power that we inherited from Avraham Avinu, because he inherited to us. He gave us a Yerusha. Yerusha is inheritance. You don't have to do anything for it. You just give. It just gives to you. So we have to take that, and we have to understand that our life is another journey, and there's going to be another journey, and the journeys don't stop. What we need to do is take a camera and take some pictures and get some memories. And when you look back, everything, all the hard times, when you look back, it was so much fun over there. No, it wasn't. I remember the other day we were looking at pictures, and the kids was like, oh, remember when we lived there, it was so much fun. I was like, no, it wasn't. It was hard. And you were complaining too, because you were all in the same room. No, it was so much fun. I was like, okay, good. So you tend to remember the good things. And we need to understand that wherever I am right now is not to see the hardship, is to see the opportunity. And Hashem says, today you have an opportunity. You can complain, you can whine, you can cry, you can, I don't have any other descriptions for what you can do. Or you can say, okay, but I can do something. Hashem wants me to do something right now. And if I understand that I'm doing the work of Hashem, and it's for my benefit, then the journey becomes successful, and then the memories become very good. And at the end of the day, when I reach to the resting place in Olam Haba, I look back and I understand why Hashem did everything to me, and then I understand the benefit of it. So all we need to do is take out the power that Avraham Avinu gave us, and to march proudly and happy and with our head up, and every challenge we get into is get into it with the right attitude and saying, okay, what's the job here today? And then I do it successful, and then Hashem ends up blessing us exactly how it says in the beginning of the parasha. Lech Lecha me'artzecha, go from your land, from the place of birth, from your father's home to the land that I will show you, and then I'm going to bless you. Oh, look what blessings Avraham Avinu getting in the beginning of the parasha. I will bless you with everything, and everybody will bless you, and nobody will be able to curse you. And look at the end of Avraham Avinu, was wealthy, healthy, lived a long life, saw grandkids, great-grandkids, whole lineage of tzaddikim, and so forth. So nothing is different from us. When we do what Hashem wants us to do at the right time, at the right place, then we also get to see this blessing. And essentially everything in our life is a blessing. We just need to know how to look at it the right way, to understand that it's not only a blessing, it's also for my benefit.